statement from Mr. Old-Boy before I go on. This year's lecture on the theme, Secure the Future of the Next Generation, Reflections of a Santaclausian, promises to be another interesting and insightful one. We live in fast-changing times, and thus it is important that we give some thought to how we can secure the future of generations to come in a manner that is suitable to the era in question, but still preserve the fundamental values we share as Santaclausians. It's a duty we must fulfill in order to ensure that those who come after us can indeed take up our story. May this year's lecture give each one of us a renewed commitment to the next generation of Santaclausians. And may the spirit we share as old boys of the great Adisadel on the hill unite us in securing the future of the next Adisadel generation. I'm honored and continue to feel humbled by the institution of this lecture series and your commitment to holding them every year. I thank you very much and wish you all well. May the good Lord bless you all and bless our great advocate, Adisadel. Thank you, Archie, for this very good. Now my welcome message. Adisadel Old is not the only headmaster Adisadel College has had in its long history, but Adisadel Old Boys have graciously instituted this series of lectures in his name as a symbol of one who has exemplified the true embodiment of the Adisadel spirit. He was himself a past student of the college and is in the late 40s into the 50s, and after further studies locally and outside, he returned to teach at Adisadel College. As a physical education specialist, he saw in it an opportunity to lift high the profile of Adisadel College, not only in the study of classics, but also in sports on a national scale. He taught Latin and Greek, became housemaster for Canterbury House, was later promoted to the position of senior housemaster, and eventually took the high position of headmaster of Adisadel College. The qualities for which Old Boys will forever celebrate Orleans-Pobee include his uncompromising attitude toward discipline, his passion for excellence in academia, as well as in social life, his foresightedness and ability to resolve conflicts, and his proven commitment to fairness, justice, selflessness, determination to succeed, and high sense of integrity. These, among others, epitomize the Adisadel spirit, which has galvanized Santaclausians to rededicate themselves every year to the ideals for which Adisadel College was founded. This is the raison d'etre of the Orleans-Pobee Lectures. This is the fifth in the series, delivered consecutively by Justice A. P. my humble self, retired Brigadier General Richardson Baden, and retired Squadron Leader Charles Stanley Pierre. As you can see, the generations vary from the 50s group to the 60s group. This year, the National Executive settled on a candidate from the 70s group, which also benefited from the Orleans-Pobee era in a way. But let me caution, before other year groups think otherwise, that one does not have to have gone through the Orleans-Pobee period to qualify to be a guest speaker. The idea is to speak to the principles for which Orleans-Pobee stood and exemplified, and which we can adequately call the Adisadel spirit. Our choice this year fell on Kwadwo Kyeremanten, a product of the 1970 year group. Alan has excelled in both the private and public sectors through his contribution to national development in various capacities. The appropriate time, he will be introduced fully. As we continue to reminisce the principles which have shaped all of us as Santaclausians, let us not forget that our college faced challenges totally unforeseen in the early years, and certainly not in the Orleans-Pobee era. How do we build on the foundation solidly laid by Father Hamlin and others, the sacrifice of the pioneers, and those who came after. Others have lived, and we share the glory. Ours is to do exploits and act to begin. Those who come after will take up the story. We are either the first or with the first. We need to carry on with the generation and generation and generation of Santaclausians who have upheld the spirit and continue to protect it and live it. We have as chair for our function Mr. Emmanuel Ayensu. Of course, noting the time he left Adisadel in 1960, I cannot claim that most of us know him, except a few. But his nickname was Longi. And when I went to Form 1, he was in Form 5. So you can see the distance. Only he doesn't carry gray hair. He has been an HR expert and specialist almost all his life. And he lives in Tema. He sings, he's a chorister, he sings very well. We don't have much time otherwise to display some of his qualities. And he's also a sportsman. Mr. Emmanuel Ayensu, our chair. And if by any chance Mrs. Ayensu is here, can she please rise and then go straight? She used to be a domestic worker in that side.
I do not know how the protocol goes, but it's the president of the Old Boys Association. Distinguished ladies, honourable men, fellow Santaclausians. Was it 2 days ago that we celebrated the National Founders Day? Or yesterday? Yesterday. I was watching the television and they showed October on the days of the program. 6 people, October himself, actually placed the headphone. Anywhere, Kojo Yankah, two of them said Russians. If I hadn't gone to Adisadel, I think something would have happened. We are in 2016. The school was moved from Tropia, 1936, 80 years this year. When the school moved, the head prefect that moved with our night to Adisadel was called Alex. Kyeremanten. It is interesting that today his son is given us this lecture. At Adisadel, the headmasters office and what used to be the staff common room is a 2-story. On top are flats. There are young graduates and young men who are brought in to teach, are given I think Mr. Bodaniel was there for some time now. The story I'm telling, I don't think Mr. Bodaniel contributed. They come and very lovely young ladies coming with their perfume, and then we go and stand. Sometimes if we are lucky, the wind blows and you see other things. But on the staircase is a tablet that tells you that the school was built by Alan Knight, and there is a student representative of the students who built the school, and his name is on that tablet. And I'm a type of child. I have been told that when you are a chairman, your opening remarks must not be too much. So I will end here with only a little joke. My nickname, Ronnie. I was the tallest at that time, but it is not because I was the tallest in the school that I became Adisadel. I went to box on one entertainment evening. I was beaten. But my boxing name was Adisadel. I was not just beaten. In those days, the entertainment was on Saturday, and Sunday morning you have to go to mass. I was so well treated, I couldn't go to mass, and I was fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senior Robbie C. Round of applause for the losing boxer. I'm not sure he heard me, but a round of applause for the losing boxer. He is a nice mentor of mine. So I have emphasized this because we've been going for HR meetings in Tema. And I am chapter chairman for Tema. But being an old HR man, I know what to tell our colleagues. A losing Adisadel College boxer is still a boxer. Round of applause for our chairman. I would invite our President, Honourable Kojo Yankah, to introduce once again and very carefully give way the guest speaker.
Thank you, Sito. Actually, this duty was not mine. The person to do it is not here, so I've been prevailed upon to introduce the guest speaker. What I remember about Alan is that when he entered Adisadel College in 1966, when he came in 1965, he was only 10 years old. So you can imagine a toddler who was to mix up with big boys from the villages, some of who were 15 and 16. But he managed. Kyeremanten has an extensive and distinguished record in international trade and public policy, enterprise development, politics, and diplomacy. He's a former cabinet minister, ambassador to the United States of America, UN policy advisor, a lawyer, and a senior corporate executive. As Ghana's Minister of Trade, Industry, and Presidential Special Initiatives from 2003 to 2007, he led the design, development, and implementation of innovative programs and special interventions which have become new strategic pillars of growth for the Ghanaian economy. He also played a key role in shaping Africa's trade policy agenda in the WTO, World Trade Organization, the EU, ACP Economic Partnership Negotiations, AGOA, and UNCTAD. Prior to his appointment as minister, Kyeremanten served as ambassador of Ghana to the United States of America from 2001 to 2003. In that role, he negotiated various landmark trade and investment agreements between Ghana and the United States, and initiated the establishment of the Ghana-United States Economic Council, which played a strategic role in deepening trade relations between the two countries. Between 1998 and 2001, Kyeremanten served as the first regional director of Enterprise Africa, UNDP's flagship initiative for the development and promotion of small and medium enterprises in Africa. Under that framework, he established enterprise support programs in 13 sub-Saharan African countries, Botswana, Benin, Cameroon, Democratic Republic of Congo, Ethiopia, among others. Over 4,000 African entrepreneurs and small businesses benefited from these programs. In 1990, Kyeremanten was responsible for establishing and managing the Empretec program of Ghana, a leading business development institution sponsored by the United Nations and Barclays Bank Limited. He led the transformation of Empretec from a UN project into an independent foundation, which is recognized as a world-class institution and best practice model for entrepreneurship development in Africa. Between 1984 and 1990, he managed a number of major private and public sector consulting assignments in Ghana as a principal consultant and head of public systems management with the Management Development and Productivity Institute, a leading management development institute in Ghana. Prior to this, he was a senior corporate executive with UAC Ghana Limited, subsidiary of Adisadel International, where he worked in various managerial positions with distinction in 1977-1984. As coordinator of the African Trade Policy Center of the UN Economic Commission for Africa in Addis Ababa from July 2011 to December 2013, Alan led efforts in building capacity in various African countries in trade policy formulation and trade negotiations. In addition, he was a leading member of the technical team of the African Union that developed the action plan for the establishment of a continental free trade area for Africa, which was launched in 2017. Kyeremanten is a graduate in economics from the University of Ghana, qualified barrister at law from the Ghana Law School. In addition, was a Fulbright Humphrey Fellow at the School of Public Affairs and School of Management of the University of Minnesota under the U.S. Fulbright Fellowship Program. As a member of the Council of Governors of the British Executive Service Organization, BSO, in the United Kingdom, and has also served as a board member of several organizations. In 1994, Kyeremanten was listed as one of the top 100 global leaders for the new millennium by the Time International magazine, together with other personalities such as Bill Gates and John F. Kennedy Jr. of the United States of America. In 2013, he was nominated by the heads of states of the African Union to contest as Africa's candidate for the position of Director General of the WTO. I was going to say that he was also promoted to contest for a certain position. But at the moment, Alan is a businessman, business executive, and also a politician, if that is it. What brought him here was the spirit that was carried through the entire school life at the Adisadel. Here as a proud I guess we can recognize these
do not often see Santaclausian so composed. This can only happen with the invisible hand of Adisadel Old Boy. Having said that, there was also a slight correction I wanted to make. A point made by Mr. Yankah, Mr. Kojo Yankah. I'm not sure whether you said I advised that in our subsequent lectures that we discuss. Because I actually made another suggestion. Okay. Maybe you misunderstood me. Okay. Yes. I don't want them to attribute. I looked at their faces and they seemed worried that their groups would now be making presentations before. Oh, okay, that was fine. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, President of the Adisadel Old Boys Association, Mr. Kojo Yankah, distinguished invited guests, Santaclausians, ancient and modern, acknowledging in particular members of the most dynamic year group, the 1970 Club. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that the person for whom we are gathered here is now present with us, and he could not have arrived at a better time. So I salute you, sir. Well, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a unique privilege and an honor for me to be asked to deliver this year's RT Orleans-Pobee Lecture, particularly following in the footsteps of very distinguished Santaclausians who have performed this task in previous years. Let me also use this opportunity to thank Senior Yankah for his very kind introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, to quote a very familiar inscription on some of the commercial vehicles plying our roads, wonders shall never cease. In the year 1965, in his commencement speech as headmaster, Mr. R.T. Orleans-Pobee reported rather proudly that for the first time in the history of the school, among the new batch of students being admitted was a 9-year-old boy from Kumasi, and that he, as headmaster, was making special arrangements to provide him with a feeding bottle since he was a long way away from home. Today it has become necessary for this baby boy to be the one testifying about the headmaster. So you can understand when I say wonders shall never cease. There are few people who have made significant contributions to shaping my life journey, and I'm proud to count Mr. Orleans-Pobee as being one of them. Mr. Orleans-Pobee gave me an opportunity to play in the Premier League even when clearly I was underage. And since then, I've never looked back. And I've always succeeded in punching above my weight. Sometimes I lose, but most times I win. P Colo, I'm indeed grateful. The choice of my topic for this lecture has been informed by three key considerations. Namely, the qualities of the man we are celebrating today. Secondly, the very essence of the Adisadel spirit and tradition. And thirdly, the task of dealing with the key challenges of our time. The common denominator underpinning all these three considerations is leadership. Leadership. Any society or organization that fails to secure the future of this next generation is bound to disintegrate over time. The key requirement for realizing this objective is leadership. And it is within this context that we must place the contribution of Mr. Orleans-Pobee in securing the future not only of Adisadel as an institution, but for many of us as Santaclausians. P Colo was a powerful leader. There could be no better testimony of the qualities of this man as a leader than what is contained in the statement made earlier by Mr. Kojo Yankah. He refers to qualities of Mr. Orleans-Pobee such as, and I want you to listen carefully, his uncompromising attitude towards discipline, his passion for excellence in academia as well as in social life, his foresightedness and ability